All right, let's talk a little bit more in a little more detail about these great stories that, provide the framework for cosmic education. There are some themes within these stories that beyond the content that we're offering, but also some themes that we want the children to experience. These ideas of all things following their laws, and therefore that's how the world functions as we know it. We want to inspire gratitude for everything in the universe, that it's following its laws, that humans have created things before us. That gratitude is another big theme. And also, it's that sense of responsibility that humans have for their own cosmic tasks that starts to emerge within these stories as well. In this story, we evoke a sense of the mystery surrounding this. Certainly, the story has all sorts of scientific accuracy. We're introducing different ideas of science and chemistry and physics, and we're really exploring those ideas in the way that we tell this story in a almost fairy tale kind of manner. So the first great story is that magical one of the formation of the universe. In this story, we tell how the universe formed from, the blackness and darkness that first existed to the heat and light of everything in the universe that was flaming together. And as things followed their laws, different substances formed, different things settled, and the world as we know it eventually emerged. But we also tell the story in terms of how there's so much we don't know. How exactly did it start? No one's entirely sure, and we open the doors to the questions of philosophy and religion, as well as the questions of science. Humans have explained this in a variety of different ways, thinking about, some sort of creator. So that idea of not knowing is another part of this story that we bring to the children, in addition to all the science that we do know about how the formation of the universe occurred. The next great story that we'll tell is the story of the coming of life. And in this story, we have a variety of, non-living actors that we personify. The earth, the rocks, the sun, the water, and the air having a debate and argument of why things aren't going as smoothly as they had been. And, the result is everything's following its laws, and something new is needed to maintain the balance. And that new thing is a living thing. And once we tell this story, we then pull out a timeline of life where we give the children a panoramic picture of, early life all the way to life today. Then there's the great story of the coming of human beings. And in this story, we talk about this particular kind of life that emerged on Earth, the human, and the three gifts that humans possess that make them, different from other animals. The ability to think and imagine, the ability to use their hands, and the ability to love. And it's these three gifts that humans have had to use for their survival and to build the sorts of communities and cultures that have existed. In this story, we're helping the children become sort of oriented to human history and to start to recognize a little bit the responsibility humans have in maintaining, the harmony on the planet. So these first three great stories help to orient the children to the universe, to humanity's place in the timeline of life, and then to sort of humanity's special role on the planet. The last two stories that we tell serve to connect the children more closely to human culture. So we explore a couple of the great inventions that humans have made. The one story we tell is the story of our alphabet. So we tell the story of how cultures throughout history have used symbols to represent language, and how that shifted for the English language to using sound symbols and being able to create an alphabet that could express our words in writing. Depending on your culture, you're going to use the right story that matches the language of the children. But the goal of this is for children to recognize and see humans' need for communication and that need to write that down, and how amazing and grateful we should be to all the different humans throughout history that helped us develop the written language we use today. The final story we might tell is the story of our numerals. How have humans used numbers, throughout their existence? And how have we represented those numbers symbolically? We want to connect the children to this idea that humans have thought about quantity for a very long time, and that they needed to have a system for communicating that quantity in writing. And that's where our numbering system has emerged from. These are the great stories. These are special stories that we tell every year at the beginning of the year to all the children. And they provide this framework. They really just, again, consistently help orient the child to all this knowledge in the cosmos that they're trying to explore. But they certainly aren't the only stories that we tell. And there are some things we have to keep in mind as we're telling stories. So we'll talk more about storytelling in general and how we prepare ourselves to do that.